Number 7. Raw milk. In an era obsessed with everything natural, organic, and a return to the pure and primitive, one beverage has made a comeback under the banner of naturalist raw milk. It looks pure and innocent, but when you take a sip, you may not be drinking health. You might be consuming an entire microbial ice factory. Raw milk refers to milk that has not been pasteurized. It may sound like an old-fashioned method for grandma, but in reality, it's a playground for viruses, bacteria, and parasites. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, raw milk causes food poisoning 840 times more often and leads to hospitalization 45 times more often than pasteurized milk. It can harbor E. coli, salmonella, listeria, mycobacterium, bovis, and, more alarmingly, the H5N1 avian flu virus. Yes, you read that right, avian flu had shown up in milk. In 2024, the US FDA detected H5N1 in raw milk samples for the first time. By June that year, 95 cattle herds across the US were infected, and all 4 reported human cases had direct or indirect contact with dairy cows. Even more disturbing, a 2024 survey revealed that only 47% of American adults knew raw milk is unsafe. About 24% thought pasteurization was unnecessary, and 9% even believed raw milk was safer. In the US, even milk has become a political battleground. Democrats tend to support pasteurization, viewing it as science, while some conservatives see it as government overreach, infringing on personal freedom. As a result, drinking raw milk has quietly become a form of political statement. I don't trust the government, I trust cows. But this isn't just a dietary debate, it's part of a grey market supply chain. Since 1987, US federal law has banned interstate sales of raw milk, but 30 states still allow its legal sale in some form. Elsewhere, underground markets thrive. Membership in dairies, bio-container milk pickups, and local distribution hubs. In Switzerland, supermarkets simply slap a drink at your own risk label on raw milk, elegantly shifting the liability. Many people believe raw milk is more nutritious because it's natural and unprocessed, but that's a classic myth. The CDC has made it clear. Pasteurization does not destroy key nutrients in milk. Protein, calcium, and vitamin D all remain intact. Insisting on unpasteurized milk is about as logical as refusing to wash your hands out of fear of washing away vitamins. Natural is not a magic pass to skip science. Raw milk is a cocktail of pastoral fantasy, scientific controversy, legal loopholes, and political metaphor. It's nature's illusion and a breeding ground for viruses. Number 6. You thought beef was just the soul of the BBQ, the star of the hot pot, or the protein source in your gym diet. Think again. It was once the darkest food code in British history. In 1980s Britain, a juicy steak turned death into an inexplicable mystery. It all started in November 1986, with a cow displaying strange behavior: slow movement, stiff limbs, a vacant gaze, like a drunk cow who had too much bad liquor. It was diagnosed with bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, better known as mad cow disease. The illness is caused by prions misfolded proteins that, once inside a healthy host, teach normal proteins to fold incorrectly. Over time, brain tissue becomes riddled with sponge-like holes. Worse still, the disease is incurable, irreversible, immune-proof, hit-resistant, UV-resistant, and even formalin-resistant. But how did the cows go mad? The shocking answer: cows were eating cows. To speed up growth and increase protein content in feed, British farms began grinding up the internal organs and bones of cattle and sheep into mealtan bone meal in the 1970s, feeding it back to cattle. Ruminants eating ruminants. This perverted recycling loop allowed prions to cross species boundaries, turning the food chain into a system-wide self-contamination. Thus, the UK became ground zero for the global mad cow crisis. In panic, the government launched a mass culling campaign in 1988, ultimately slaughtering over 4 million cows, but the prions had already infiltrated the human system. By the early 2000s, 177 people in the UK had been diagnosed with variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, VCJD, the human form of mad cow disease. Their brains slowly turned sponge-like, motor skills declined, psychiatric symptoms erupted, and death followed. The creepiest part: the incubation period could last more than a decade. So yes, you might enjoy that steak to dine. 10 years later, lose your mind because of it. One steak becomes a delayed death alarm. But why thou did the first cow go mad? While feed was long blamed, a British farmer named Mark Purdy pointed the finger elsewhere. A government-mandated pesticide injected into cows' spines, which he claimed disrupted copper balance in the brain and triggered abnormal prion folding. Initially dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, Purdy's theory gained traction after a 2003 Cambridge University study found that mad cows' brains indeed contained 10 times more manganese and severely depleted copper levels. Still, the true origin of mad cow disease remains a phantom. No one knows why cows went mad way. Only know that if you eat them, you might go mad too. The outbreak forever changed global food safety laws. Europe banned British beef exports, while Japan, the US, and Taiwan followed with bans or restrictions. Taiwan even barred US beef imports for 6 years. In 2021, the ban lifted for beef containing ractopamine residues. Even today, the labeling of certain cuts of beef in supermarkets is a lingering scar of BSE. Though the crisis seems over, many countries still impose strict standards on cattle breeds, parts, and feed source per cows. Mad cow disease taught us that the food chain is no toy. One wrong link, and the whole system collapses. Number 5. Pig's blood cake. Amid the smoky night markets, you spot a bamboo skewer held higher in black, steaming, glistening. Foreign food writers describe it like a horror novel, but for Taiwanese, it's a celebratory delicacy. This is pig's blood kakia, fusion of blood and rice, and a global litmus test for culinary courage. It dates back to 1945, when a street vendor named Huang Qingguan in post-war Taiwan found unused pig's blood at a slaughterhouse. While others avoided it, he had an idea: mix it with glutinous rice, steam it, skewer it, and sell it on the streets. Thus, a cheap, filling, and nutritious street food was born. Decades later, it not only survived the test of time but also earned a spot in CNN's World's Top 10 Bizarre Foods, alongside Icelandic fermented shark and Scottish haggis. Sure, Americans have black pudding, Germans have blood sausages, and the French love foie gras spot. Pig's blood cake instantly gets labeled as unhygienic, visually shocking, and texturally mysterious. It looks like rust black or deep red when steamed, has the chewiness of mochi mixed with eraser rubber, gets rolled in peanut powder and topped with a generous handful of cilantro. It sounds like dessert, but biting into it feels like chewing on history. Its notoriety also comes from scandal. In 2015, Taiwan's top pig blood supplier Swamping was caught using animal feed-grade blood instead of food-grade. Over 24,300 kilograms of pig blood was seized amid rumors of mixidin, oil, feathers, feces, and antibiotic residues. What people thought was a nutritious treat turned out to be a biohazard soup. The good news: Taiwan has since tightened food safety regulations. Most vendors now use intestine-listed blood sources, and sanitary conditions have vastly improved. But cultural stigma persists. Though pig's blood cake isn't officially banned in the US, it's nearly impossible to import legally due to strict animal blood regulations. Taiwanese vendors in Los Angeles report frequent customs interceptions. A rumored ban once sparked outrage online, with cultural figures arguing, "You eat blood sausage, but we can't eat pig's blood cake." That's not hygienites discrimination. Yes, it may make some people recoil, but in an era where insects are Michelin-starred dishes, what should we really fear, food or our cultural bias? It's unconventional, but it's not a monster. It's traditional, but also evolving. With food safety and regulation ever improving, maybe one day, this peanut-dusted black skewer will proudly take its place alongside hot dogs on a New York street corner, continuing its legend of blood and rice. Number 4. Absinthe. Think alcohol is just for fun. Think again. Some drinks belong to the dark arts. Absinthe, nicknamed the Green Fairy, smells like the enchanted brew of a medieval witch legend. Mysterious, seductive, and mind-altering. It contains wormwood, green anise, sweet fennel, and other secret herbs. Its alcohol content ranges from 65% to 84%, making one sip equivalent to 3 shots of vodka. Born in 18th century Switzerland, absinthe was once used medicinally. But when it reached Paris, it became an artistic obsession. Hemingway, Van Gogh, Oscar Wilde, All worshipped the green fairy. Wild One said, "After the first glass, you see things as you wish they were. After the second, you see them as they are not. After the third, you see things as they really are." It sounds philosophical, but it's actually just poetic delirium. By 1910, the French were consuming 360,000 liters of absinthe annually, not much compared to their 500 million liters of wine, but enough to cause trouble. As absinthe surged in popularity, so did violence. The most infamous case occurred in 1905, when a Swiss farmer drank absinthe, then murdered his wife and daughters. Though he had also consumed wine and brandy, absinthe took all the blame. That case triggered a global crackdown. Absinthe was accused of being hallucinogenic due to thujan, a compound thought to cause seizures, madness, and psychosis in animal studies. But modern research shows that the actual thujan content in absinthe is far too low to matter. What really causes the hallucinations? That 70% plus alcohol content. Still, starting in 1915, absinthe was banned across France, Switzerland, Belgium, and the US, one of the most controversial alcohol bans in history. It lasted for decades. Smuggled into bars as an underground delicacy, absinthe became a symbol of bohemian rebellion, the subject of endless conspiracy theories about freedom and art. Finally, in the 1990s, the EU re-evaluated the ban and lifted it, capping thujan at 35 milligrams per kilogram. Absinthe was reborn. Today, Spain, France, and the Czech Republic produce it legally again. With over 200 brands worldwide, it's even legal in the U.S. now. A favorite among bartenders for dramatic performances. Pour it into a glass, place a sugar cube, set it on fire, then add ice water, like an alchemist's ritual. You could say absinthe is the most misunderstood alcohol in Historia, the most legally accepted hallucinogen in the art world. Either way, it's back with its enchanting green gaze, bars, festivals, and museums once again.